Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are on a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Arn. And of course, we couldn't do it without the founder of the Four Horsemen, the Hall of Famer himself, AA, Arn Anderson. Arn, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Man, better than I deserve. So excited to be here with you. Of course, every other week here on the show, it's Ask Arn Anything. And we're having some fun in between time talking about the good old days of professional wrestling. And next week, we've got a pretty fun episode coming up. It's Elimination Chamber 2011. Arn, this is maybe a forgotten pay-per-view, but one of the better pay-per-views of that year. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, a lot of great efforts. The audience gave it a huge rating. They can't be wrong. Go back and watch that. Think you'll enjoy it.
Absolutely. Jerry Lawler gets a rare title shot here. Plus, we've got 2 Elimination Chamber matches. Lots of good stuff. That's coming your way next week. By the way, it's already live at adfreeshows.com. But right now, let's jump into hashtag Ask Arn Anything. Past Demons wants to know, do you think the working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling and Impact will benefit all parties involved? Of course, he's talking about the working relationship with AEW here in 2021.
Absolutely, 100%. I truly believe that 1 year ago or a little more, AEW went on the air and helped open up new avenues, new interest in the wrestling business, period, which helped Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor. It just created a new interest in the business, period. And I feel like, you know, New Japan and their style and the television show is so different from Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is so different right now than Impact, and they're all different from AEW. I just think it gives you a lot more options, a lot more things to watch, and there's going to be some crossover talent on some of these shows, which makes it even more interesting.
It's interesting too, when WWE tries to do a crossover, they do it with a mainstream celebrity, even if it's one from Latin America. So while New Japan is doing a little crossover with AEW, as is Impact, Vince has got the Bad Bunny lined up. And obviously Bad Bunny is a huge international star. But here in America, maybe not quite as much. And I think a lot of wrestling fans are probably going, ugh, who is this guy? Because they just want wrestling. And I get that. But I do think, especially WrestleMania time, it's expected WWE is going to bring in some sort of crossover appeal star, right?
Well, yeah. You know, I don't know anything about, what was it called? Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny. He's like probably the number 1 most listened to artist on Spotify. He is a major deal, but his music is in Spanish. So it's probably not something you and I are riding around nodding our head to, because we don't really know what he's saying.
That would be a no habla.
There you go. But still, just because we don't speak his language doesn't mean he's not a big star. And I think fans are probably after him a little bit, maybe too harshly. He is a really big wrestling fan in real life. And when you get a celebrity who is a big fan, that probably makes your job as a producer a whole heck of a lot easier, right?
Yeah. I mean, if they're not big fans, what are they doing on our show?
Yeah.
Number one, but I've said this before and it's went on for years, and I would cite very few instances, but wrestling fans are dedicated to a wrestling show and wrestlers. They're not there to see Hollywood stars or anything of that nature, rappers or any of that. And it's an aggravation to them when they don't know who it is. If I don't know who it is, I just watch their performance on the show and then I critique it for what it is. They get pissed because it's downtime. And, the celebrities that we've had over the years had nothing to do with wrestling whatsoever. And, you can just see it from the fans. So the fact is there's a place, it's called the rest of the world, that's not America. And if he's a big star, there's probably a reason for it.
Let's keep it moving here. Here's another question from, Adam, and boy, you're going to take this one personally, but I see it all the time online. Did you or anyone else ever consider talking to John Cena about his STF? He puts absolutely no pressure on it. I've always been a huge Cena fan, but this version of the STF is terrible. He actually even was confronted by Steve Austin on the network about it. And just last month, Bailey sat down with Austin and she had a similar move on, and he sort of made a reference to Cena without making a reference to Cena. Why does Cena have so many heat with so many guys about the STF? You were there. Maybe you can help me out.
So there's no pressure. Austin felt like there was no pressure there.
Yeah. He said, "Oh, you need to snug it up, son," or something like that.
Well, I got a feeling that, when he first put it on, and I gave him the move because I saw it in Japan. It was Chono's finish move, right?
And Eric Watts.
I don't like you. I've never liked you. You better be glad that I don't live next door to you. If I could afford to live in that neighborhood, I would be shooting a BB through your window right now.
John, let me tell you about this time I got stretched in a gas station parking lot.
Okay, let's get it all out. Not only that, his father punched me at a meeting, which we included in one of our previous broadcasts. I must have heat with the Watts family that I don't even know about.
Not only did his dad punch you in the head, he called you the wrong name, then he punched you in the head.
Lars, get over here, Lars. Who's he talking to? Lars. Yeah, you, Lars. Me? I don't know what hurt worse, not knowing my name
or calling you Lars.
Or calling me Lars. No disrespect to Lars.
No.
I mean,
what a great line.
What the hell? I guess there's somewhere down the road in the past to where the Andersons ran up on the Watts and it didn't end well. That's all I could figure because there's generational heat.
So tell me about giving John the STF.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought it was a tremendous finish. You trap the guy's leg. His knee is bent uncomfortably. And then you reach up and you hook him around the jaw. Apparently he did snug it up when he first started using it. And some guys said, "Hey, man, you're choking me out. You need to loosen up."
Right.
And just from that moment forward, John would have said, "Oh, man, that's not my intention." He would have loosened it up and it would stay loose. That's the only thing I can figure. It never jumped off the page to me.
Let's keep it moving here. I know you don't like to talk negative stuff, especially about your friends. And I never really understood the hate on that, but it is what it is. Charlie Thrower says, "Mr. Anderson, if you were in your wrestling prime today, who across the entire wrestling industry would you like to have a match or program with?" I mean, it's got to be Cody, right? An Anderson and a Rhodes. That just sort of writes itself.
If Tully and I could be, let's say 30, and Cody being in his prime, and somehow magically Dustin being in his prime.
Holy shit.
As far as a generational one for the ages, and we had our same history with his dad. That history that we had with his father has lasted to this day. And everybody remembers where you followed Dusty down in the Cadillac and jumped him in the parking lot and then broke his leg and had the riot and all those things. But Cody has built his own legacy. He's his own man. He is recognized as one of the top guys in AEW, one of the faces of the company. Dustin Rhodes is a guy that can go. He could tear it up. And boy, when he first came along and he was a young talent, he could tear it up with the best of them. And he caught on so quickly to everything. I think those two in their prime and us in our prime, interesting.
That would be unbelievable. That's what that would be.
It's a great wish list. It's an awesome wish list.
I'm for it. If we find those time machines, I'm going to make that happen. Adam wants to know, was it ever discussed changing your or Tully's name in the WWF so Vince could own it? I know we touched on this before, but he did have a bit of a reputation for changing folks' names.
Yeah, and I don't know if he thought ours wasn't worth trademarking. He didn't mess with us much. I mean, you look at our costuming, he didn't say change your gear. Brainbusters to me was not a ha-ha cartoon name. Bobby was the Brain Heenan. He was our manager. Brainbusters was fine with me. He didn't make an effort to dumb us down or make clowns out of us or any of that stuff. And he spoke the truth the one time after we had been there 6 months or something. And we might have discussed this on a previous episode, but, we came back from working with, it might have been Demolition or it might have been one of the Rocker matches. I don't know, but he pulled us aside and went, just out of the blue, he went, something, guys, you lend credibility to my company. It's a huge compliment.
The biggest compliment.
And it came out of nowhere. And I, at that moment, went, well, that's why he hasn't messed with us.
Right.
He didn't let us have the opportunity to do any promos of our own. They were all scripted, and it was one or two lines, and that was it. And, I would have loved to have been able to cut one of those 2-minute 4 Horsemen were coming to get your ass promos. And Tully had a minute and a half to do his. Just never happened. But all in all, I wasn't disappointed. And they never said anything about changing our names or anything. My God, why would they? They already had worldwide recognition.
Right. One last question here from Adam. He says, Ron Garvin has said, and I never heard Ron say this. This is Adam's tweet. Ron Garvin has said that being world champion meant nothing to him and the belt was a trinket. How would Arn respond to this? I want to time out right here. I never heard this interview where Ron Garvin said this. Perhaps he was bitter about his run in 87, but I never heard the interview where he said that. But I have a feeling that you probably disagree.
I don't know what to think about that. I respect Ron Garvin as a performer. I know that he got red hot working with Rick and working with us. And it was one of those things that gave you another option as far as a challenger for Rick when they decided to put the title on him. I was not against it because he was red hot. In hindsight, he was probably more valuable as a challenger than the champion. I don't know what the numbers were on the houses where he was on top. And that's what everything was based on.
Right.
If it was a success or just okay or failure. It's all about the bottom line, right? You'd have to go back and look at the towns he was in, who was his opponent. Did he have an opportunity to draw? But I just remember him not being happy overall.
Right.
Which I couldn't understand at the time because things were still going well. Now, I don't know if there was pressure put on him. I don't know the circumstances, but he was world champion for a moment, and you can't take that away from him. It's just a shame if he feels less than thrilled about it.
Mayhem has an interesting question. Do you have a story about sellouts, as in curtain sellouts? Do you remember there being a moment or an instance where you were taking a peek through the curtain and wanted to see what was about to happen as well?
Oh, I'm sure there were. Yeah, I think the first time the Steiners worked with the Road Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
Curtain sellout. I think maybe a couple of times Rick Steiner worked with Dr. Death. Curtain sellout. And anybody that had any sense, since there weren't any monitors when the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll went through the curtain, found you a place and sat down and got under the learning tree. Because those four guys in Cornet taught you how to have a proper tag match with all the elements. Heat, baby faces that were over, selling, storytelling, a finish that everyone understood, whether they hated it or liked it, depending on who went over. I mean, it had all the elements. It was perfection.
Let's talk about another thing from back in the day that you might have wanted to watch. Adam wants to know, if Arn could go back and sit ringside for any match in history, what would it be?
Maybe one of those hour Broadways with Flair and Terry Funk.
Oh, yeah. That would have been something else.
And I'm talking about the earlier Terry Funk and the earlier Rick, and I'm talking about a 1 hour wrestling match.
Yeah. Not what they did in 89, but what they would have done in the late 70s and early 80s.
Absolutely. When they were both, when Terry was at his peak.
Stoner Dale says, can you describe your thoughts after your first encounter with MJF?
I was sitting in the same room you were at your event at StarCast.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. We were in the back.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Tully and I had just were we on Tony Schiavone's show, and just came back from the stage.
That's right.
And he was next. MJF was next, and I'd never
seen him.
I'd never seen him.
Right.
And he started taking questions, and I saw him, easing up to the edge, and I'll never forget it.
I remember it now. It's funny. I didn't remember that, but obviously I had a lot going on that day. But you looked over at me and you said, "Hey, Conrad." And I looked up. "Yes, sir." And he said, "What's this fucking guy's deal?"
Well, I couldn't believe he was given carte blanche to do it. Now, listen, I've said some iffy things to some people over the years, but when the kid rolled up there to the podium in the wheelchair,
he was firing off,
and he said to MJF, "How you doing?" And he looked at him and went, "Better than you." I swallowed my teeth.
Yeah.
This is a kid in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And, I think that says everything that you need to say. Now, he's been given carte blanche to a degree right now.
Right.
He's going to be, and the kid is a tremendous worker. He's a throwback. Part of him is a throwback to the late 80s talent that he works. Then you spring forward to 2021. He's that guy. And it's like Richard Pryor in the day, but he's Richard Pryor today in 2021 when some stuff's not acceptable and a lot of stuff's not acceptable, and you can't just say some things. And I think we go overboard with a lot of those politically correct no-nos. He doesn't have any no-nos. You never know what's going to come out of that guy's mouth.
It's like a modern Piper a little bit.
Little bit. And he pushes the envelope every single time. And I commend him for that. I also hope he's smart enough to know, pull up a little short of going into bad taste. You know what I mean? And just being too much.
Well, and by the way, he's an asshole in real life. So if you meet him, be prepared.
So he's chapped your ass somewhere along the way?
Oh, I hate him. He's the worst.
I just saw a wink.
No, I had something in my eye. Paul tweets out, what are your thoughts on real Kevin Nash calling Arn the most underrated worker of all time on Kayfabe Commentaries? Shout out to Sean Oliver over at Kayfabe Commentaries. They do some great stuff, but yeah, Kevin Nash called you the most underrated worker of all time.
Wow. Well, I'm flattered. Really am. That's if you combine that with what Undertaker was so kind in saying, it's two of the better and bigger compliments I've ever had, and comes from two guys that don't need to be blowing smoke up my ass for sure. I'm nobody that would require that, so I'm assuming that's their real opinion. And anytime your peers say something, that complimentary, you have to be very humbled, and I am.
Danny Ford's cousin says, who wins in a shoot, Ravishing Rick Rude or Ron Simmons?
Whoa, holy shit.
It's got to be Ron.
I don't see anybody in his prime taking Simmons.
Yeah.
I think if it was just for pure animalistic quality, Haku might have a slight small edge, but I wouldn't bet the house on it.
I wouldn't either. Here's an interesting idea from Drew Landry. When the Horsemen reformed in 98, wouldn't Booker T have been a better fit than Mongo?
No, because Booker had his own career and he was already starting to separate out into that single that you knew was going to be a top guy. Mongo fit because personality. I think it gave Rick an excellent guy to play off of. Mongo he knew the ticket. He was never going to become Ricky Steamboat as a wrestler, but he was a tremendous personality. And that guy that played for the Bears and had the impact he had on pro football as the character that he brought to the Horsemen. He never had one lesson, guys. A lot of people beat him up, and there was even special blips and blurbs and stuff popping up about Mongo. He never had one single wrestling lesson. He was just in there learning as he went. So if you consider that and realize that, it might put things in a little bit of perspective. Everybody that's out there, I'll just challenge them. Of everybody sitting at their kitchen table or wherever they're at, listen to this, line up, put you in a ring, and let's just see what you got without any prep.
Lindsay wants to know, from a proud Baltimorean, didn't know that was a word, what's your favorite thing about Charm City?
Which would be Baltimore?
Yes, sir.
Why they call it Charm City?
I don't know. Like, y'all are the Queen City. I don't get that either.
I've never heard that. You?
What, Charm City? Yeah, I've heard it only because I follow Jimmy's Famous Seafood. That's the only reason I know what it is.
Have to eat there. I still haven't ate there.
What? I had some for the Super Bowl. It's fantastic.
What'd you do? Go to Baltimore to watch the Super Bowl?
They ship it, baby, over at jimmysfamousseafood.com. Yeah, me and Shavanto, we both got a whole box of crabs. Probably not the first time Tony got crabs, but that's a story for another day.
Oh, you can't say that.
I'm kidding. Lois is a nice lady. What's your favorite thing about Charm City? The wrestling fans?
Yeah, but I've said that many times before. They know how we feel about them. They come out in droves, and God bless them. They're always receptive. I'd say Sabatino's, only because I haven't ate at Jimmy's yet.
Sabatino's is good, and it was the old staple for sure. I even saw a few years ago, it became like the in vogue thing to go to a Sabatino's and buy a menu and then get the Horsemen to sign it in a gold Sharpie, which was kind of fun. And then Flair's told the story before. Were you there when he threw his Rolex in a bowl of marinara? Supposedly he's in there, holding court, and takes his Rolex off and throws it in a bowl of marinara to impress everyone around. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Oh, I got 30 at home." And then the next morning sobers up and realizes, "Oh shit, where's my watch?" And he and Hebner wind up dumpster diving looking for a Rolex.
Yeah. I don't think that makes him, I don't know who would think that's entertaining. Anybody that knows how much a Rolex costs would be going, "That's some stupid shit."
But
I don't care how many you got at home.
In fairness, Rick did a bunch of stupid shit. Lindsay wants to know, Arn, what's your favorite go-to junk food? By the way, I did 2 back-to-back Lindsay questions because, well, there's not a lot of questions from the ladies. So ladies first, what's your go-to junk food, Arn?
What are you saying? I have no audience with ladies in it.
We got about 2% ladies here. This is what you might call a sausage fest.
Can I tell you something? Look at us. Let's just take a second and look at each other.
Well, it's an audio show. I mean, I know some people over at Ad Free Shows can see us, but we're trying to sell our voices, not, we're not trying to be matinee idols, or we'd both be out of business.
I think most intelligent ladies can even bleed through the fact that they can't see us and just hear us and know we've got heads on us like a bastard rat.
Yeah. You and we really are a couple of pumpkin heads, you and I. I used to think I had the biggest head in the world, and then I met you, and then I realized we probably wear the same hat size. So I can send you some hand-me-downs.
That's why you never see me with a hat on. You can't find a 7 5/8 everywhere. That's
true. What kind of junk food can we find everywhere at your house? Do you have a go-to junk food?
Well, I'm a chocoholic.
Okay.
Pies and cakes.
There you go.
Blueberry, like a blueberry cobbler, peach cobbler with cinnamon ice cream. Erin makes a chocolate cake for like a couple times a year for my birthday and maybe one other occasion. That is really, she melts like the chocolate morsels and actually melts them down and puts them in with the icing. It's heavy and it's damn moist. To be eaten on the couch in the baggiest PE shorts that you own would be the recommendation, and have a large glass of milk taken out of the freezer when you're just about done and kill it up.
I got to tell you, I was not ready for you to drop cobbler on me. I sometimes forget that there is a little bit of an age disparity between us. And I just think of you as like my older brother. But when you drop a cobbler line on me, that starts to sound a little grandpa-ish. Cobbler.
I'm really old.
Cobbler.
But are you dating cobbler?
Well, I'm just wondering, like, if Lindsay's next question, and I'm not done scrolling, but if Lindsay's next question is, Arn, what's your favorite candy? If you say Werther's Original, I'm going to hang up.
The hell is Werther's Original?
Well, it's this joke. This guy in the office years ago started dating an older lady, and I started just bust his balls around the office, and I'd say, "Man, how'd you sweet talk her into going on a date with you? Did you have a pocket full of Werther's Original?" And it popped all the guys, and he told us the date went well, and they were going on a second date. And I'm like, "Are you sending her flowers?" "No." "We should at least take her a Whitman sampler." So I just had all these old lady jokes. How are you and Barbara doing? Shit like that. And then of course, jokes on me. I wound up marrying an older woman. But I just heard your cobbler and I was immediately taken back to, damn, I ain't that far away from being a grandpa dropping the cobbler line on us.
Well, before we go any further, you better kayfabe this older woman shit.
She don't listen.
It's
Yeah, that's
kayfabe.
true.
Does it get?
She'll never hear about it.
No, me and you can say whatever. Well, if you say something, Brock might tell mama, but ain't nobody at my house listening to this right now except the dogs in the background. So I'm safe.
Yeah, and if she's at Nordstrom shopping, nobody in there is going to tell her.
No.
We're okay.
We'll be fine.
But the candy, the go-to candy, if you're really going to,
Payday.
for me, no,
Butterfinger.
it's really not elaborate, but it's,
Hershey bar.
yep, with almonds.
Okay. I knew eventually I'd get there.
The normal Hershey, for some reason, nothing about it tastes the same as the Hershey bar with almonds. It tastes like it's a different milk chocolate. It's creamier, and the almonds just set it off.
I don't know why, but hearing you break down food is fun. We need like an Arn cooking show one day. And I don't even know that you would be doing the cooking. You could just do the voiceovers.
Shit, I can cook.
What? What's your go-to
Yes,
thing?
and
What
I
do you
can
cook?
grill. I can certainly grill. I'm a grill master.
What you rocking gas grill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know you like charcoal and all that shit.
Well, I'm just saying one day we're going to have, when things are back to normal, and boy, we've been saying that for about a year now, we're going to get everybody together from adfreeshows.com, and we're going to have like a little cook off. Cause JR fancies himself a grill master, and Eric Bischoff will talk your damn ear off about a reverse sear and all of his horse shit. And between me and you, I think we could have like a good little cooking contest. Let the fans decide who has the best.
You know what? I'll go with some brats
Okay.
on the side of some very thick ribeye steaks.
Okay. That's going to be hard to beat.
And that's going to be what we lead with, young man.
Michael Burgett wants to know, in a previous episode of What Happened When, Conrad and Tony were watching a World Championship Wrestling episode from January 86. And during a promo, Rick called you Arnold Anderson. And it made me wonder, did you hear Rick call you that? And has anyone else ever referred to you as Arnold?
I think he probably just got wrapped up in his promo and was trying to be elaborate.
Yeah.
Never heard it before. Never heard it since.
Liam Savage wants to know, did you watch any ECW and did you see any similarities between their Triple Threat and the NWA's Four Horsemen?
I'll be honest with you. Again, 336 days on the road, traveling back and forth. I never watched any other wrestling show on TV. Be honest with you, I didn't get to watch hours a lot of the time.
Right.
That's just a fact.
Spanish Goddess wants to know, would someone like Sean O'Hare fit in today's wrestling? A lot of fans saw Sean O'Hare at the very end of WCW. He had a great look. He had a great physique. He was willing to do high risk maneuvers. He did that crazy swanton. And at the time, it didn't really fit in WCW or the WWF. He had a little bit of success in both places, but probably not what people hoped for. But it does feel like today he might fit in a little better. What say you?
I would say if he had the opportunity to go through some kind of school/system, be groomed for a year and a half, let's just say a year and a half, non-televised, wherever that would be, because the guy looked like a gassed up warlock. And brother, he had the eye of the tiger when he looked at you. Evil.
Yeah.
And a great body and all that. I just think he was probably thrown out there on television too soon without enough experience. And when you really, he looked, if you're talking about a heel.
Oh yeah. He had a look.
Go to the dictionary. You should have a picture of him there, bug-eyed with that goatee, all jacked up and veiny. He just looked evil. If he would have had more opportunity to prepare and get a basic understanding of, other than the shortened, I'm sure it was a shortened time.
Yeah. At the power plant. I get it. Let's do another one here, Arn. This one comes from Dan. He says, who came up with the idea to have you land a spine buster on Dolph Ziggler at the Starrcade house show special back in November of 2017? Did that order come from Vince and Hunter, or did Dolph and Bobby Roode come to you with the plan? # welcome to Horseman country.
I think Michael and maybe Dolph himself. I think Dolph wanted to take one. Matter of fact, some of the guys were volunteering, believe it or not, to take one. Michael, I think, was the event coordinator, and I think he knew what it was going to happen if we did it. And Dolph was very generous. Bobby Roode was very generous, letting me get involved in his match. And that was one of the moments I'll take to my grave. It was, what a reaction. Can't believe they all remembered. It's awesome.
Rory wants to know, Arn, would you ever do the polar bear plunge? You in the loop on this? Have you ever done the cold tub or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, what, just jump in a frozen lake?
Yeah, that's the idea.
No. What I would get is in a really hot steam room for a long period of time and have a polar plunge outside, which would be extremely cold water, maybe put in the hot tub. Could have ice in it, but I love the deep sweat, and I like I take cold showers now.
That's fascinating to me that you like a cold shower.
Don't like hot showers. I like, and after I get through working out, it's straight home, straight in the shower. Helps you cool down. It actually feels good. It moderates your body temperature and all that stuff.
Nick wants to know, and this is a great question at a great time. Arn, what are your memories of Butch Reed?
What a great look. Great traps. The way he carried himself like a badass.
Yep.
When he spoke, I mean, he had some of the Ron Simmons, which made them a great team. Him and Teddy and Ron and Doom. But every time you saw him, he had his head up, had those big traps, good body, and he looked like cock of the walk. No matter where you saw him, walking through an airport, locker room, hotel lobby, at work, in the ring. Butch Reed is a guy that had confidence, was a good hand, brought a lot to the table. But if you pointed him out and went, hey, I wouldn't mess with that guy, I'd take your advice.
I don't know that Butch Reed, I feel like he's, I don't know, one of the forgotten superstars of wrestling. I just watched his match with Ron Simmons, and they were in a tag team against the Steiners. They had a couple of really big pay-per-view matches, one where they were unmasked, one where they won the belts. And then I'll never forget that Halloween Havoc. They did a street fight with you guys, right? What do you remember about that one?
Me and Barry?
Yep.
Yeah, it was awesome. They kicked the shit out of us, if you want to know the truth. But it was enough of a fight that kept me interested watching it and kept the audience in tune. I loved that match. And because it was very snug, and there was no high spots to it, it was just four guys slugging it out and using like weight belts and cowboy boots. And, I don't think we overdid any chair shots. There was a few in there, but it was just, when you got three performers in there, the quality of those guys, Barry and Doom, all I had to do was follow along and just follow suit and make sure that everything was nice and tight, snug, and that's what it was. But I loved it. Yeah, I could feel it. I felt like I was in a bar fight.
Let's do another one here. Ray wants to know, what's your favorite Butch Reed story? Do you have any funny stories about Butch? Maybe traveling or eating on the road, or.
I heard a story about Louisiana when Buddy Landale first started. And, Buddy, if you knew him, if you ever met him or spent any time around him, I mean, he was just a goofball. The guy just was constantly goofing on everything. Tremendous worker, but just cracking jokes. He had a Southern drawl to him, but he was just, always just doing things like, buddy, what are you doing? I guess out in Louisiana where the highways were terrible and a lot of dark roads, no lighting, just hard to travel in, potholes everywhere. I guess Buddy was behind Butch and they were coming back from a town. I think it was Bunkie, Louisiana, which is like probably one stop sign and you're on through Bunkie. I guess Butch pulled up to the one stop sign in the city and Buddy, not paying attention, just plowed into him, rear-ended him, tore his car all up when there were only two vehicles on the road within 50 miles. And the promo that Butch cut on him when he got out of the car, Buddy told me the promo. I can't remember verbatim, but I mean, he let him have it. And I think he even gave him a black eye. And then ended up having to ride back to wherever they lived with Buddy because his car was wrecked, because Buddy wrecked it. It was a hilarious story to hear Buddy Landell tell it, but that's really the only one I have.
Here's a fun one from Kevin. Do you think Sting and Lex Luger's careers would have been different if Magnum TA didn't have that horrible accident? That's something you don't think about, but that's really a great question because they were trying to build Magnum to be the next big baby face. And when he goes down, they have to pivot. They briefly try the Nikita thing, and it's not too long before they try Sting and Luger, and Sting and Luger essentially become made men. Would they have been afforded that opportunity and on that timetable if Magnum didn't go down?
Interesting. You can do hypotheticals all day long. I think there would have been plenty of room for all three of those guys. To be perfectly honest with you, Sting was so unique with the look and the paint. Luger had that body that was the best in the business at the time.
Yeah.
And, Magnum was the guy that when he told you something, you could believe him. Handsome guy, looked the part, but totally different from the other two guys. I think there would have been room for all three of them.
Let me ask, as far as Lex's bod goes, it's a weird sentence. The other body guy at the time who could compete, I mean, I guess you could say Ultimate Warrior, but Kerry Von Erich, it's got to be between, in that era, Kerry and Lex, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, how do you not say that Kerry didn't look like $1 million? But I think Luger for a time there stood alone body wise.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like a bodybuilder, a symmetrical bodybuilder without going to that next level where the guy couldn't move.
Right.
Like professional bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Which is for guys like normal guys, we can't understand how anybody could get that big. It's out of our realm of even believability. And you see those guys and it's like, it's almost, I don't know if aggravating is the right word, because they do look so jacked, but Luger had just that in clothes, had that pleasant look to him. He looked good in clothes, normal, always dressed nice, but then he got that shirt off and got in his wrestling gear and oiled up. And it was like, holy shit, look at the body on that guy.
Mark wants to know if Arn could have tagged with any wrestler in the 80s other than Tully or Ole, who would it be? Don't say Bobby Eaton.
Nope. Kurt Hennig.
Oh man, that would have been some shit.
No doubt. Kurt Hennig. Oil and water, totally different. I can't do any of the stuff he can do, but I think that's what would have made it interesting.
Nate Solham wants to know, where did Arn come up with the throat cut gesture that he would make during almost every entrance?
Don't know.
Just works.
It's kind of like the Four Horsemen promo. It just kind of popped in there. I don't remember the first time I did it. I just remember doing it and being over the top with it, which was they can't see it anyway, but
The shaking and the slow
dragging that knife across the neck and shaking and convulsing and all that. I tried to take it to a different level where it really looked nasty.
Boy, I'm going to ask you something here that's a little uncomfortable to ask, but do you practice that in the mirror, or do you just go out there and do it cold for the first time to see how it goes?
Cold. Never did a promo into a mirror in my life, which a lot of guys did, and that's how they got better. Never did one of those, and anything that happened in the ring usually happened right off of the cuff when I was involved in a match.
David K wants to know, do you have any good David Pinzer stories you can share?
Yes. It used to be Pee Wee, the referee, Anderson, who I grew up with in Rome, Georgia. Pinzer was our ring announcer. Myself, and sometimes we'd have somebody else with us, but that was usually it. There is a place in Dothan, Alabama called Dobbs Barbecue. You're an Alabamian.
Yes,
you know
sir.
about it, Conrad?
I do not. Never heard of that.
What?
I don't know about Dobbs.
The best strawberry cake ever. Strawberry shortcake, excuse me.
All right.
They're famous for it. I mean, it is moist. Strawberries are melted into the cake. It's almost like a glaze. It's world renowned.
Yeah.
Or at least Southeast renowned. So we've been talking about it a couple of days. Dothan pops up. It's an afternoon show. The setting is perfect. It's like a Sunday afternoon show, and then we got to make a drive to somewhere for Monday. So Pee Wee goes in. Pinzer says, "Hey guys, I'm buying." He gives Pee Wee like $20 or something. Pee Wee goes in. Pinzer's rubbing his hands together. He's going, "God, I've been waiting on this for a month. I can't tell you how much I enjoy these shortcakes. They're unbelievable." So Pee Wee comes back out, never offers Pinzer any change, but he's so happy. He goes, "Got any change?" And Pee Wee went, "Somewhere." And he went, "Oh, you know what? Never mind, guys. I just want to treat you guys. Anyway, I've been so looking forward to this. I don't give a shit if there's any change." So we start going down the road, and Pee Wee opens the bag a little bit. Now we've gotten 20 miles down the road to where we're out in the country now. We're not in town, so everybody can relax, get a fork, get their deal. Even Pinzer, who's driving, he's going to eat it while he's driving. And we're 20 miles probably down the road, and all of a sudden I hear Pee Wee go, "Oh God, they only gave us 2 cheesecakes or two shortcakes."
Oh no.
Pinzer goes, "What? Look in the bag again." Pee Wee went, "Man, they shorted us one." Now we're 25 miles down the road. Now we're not going to double back 25 miles.
No, you can't.
And then come back 25 again. Pinzer is raising holy hell. Well, in the process of that, now I'm eating mine. And Pee Wee is eating his.
Oh, fuck.
So now Pinzer realizes he's got screwed. He got getting any strawberry shortcake. And man, he's red in the face. He's cussing. So we get done. Didn't offer him a bite of nothing at all. Now we're 50 miles down there, and Pinzer is still cutting this promo. "Guys, you don't understand. You could have gave me half of each one of y'all's. I've been looking forward to this forever." Da 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 da. And all All of a sudden, he starts back driving. He ignores us. I hear a crinkling, and I look in the back, and now Pee-wee is eating the third shortcake.
Oh, my God.
Which is Pinzer's. And he realizes pins are paid, lost a 20, no change, had a cake, got screwed out of it by the referee Pee-wee, and man, he pulled over and cut a promo like you have never heard. Well, give me what's left, as Pee-wee was putting the last bite in his mouth.
Man, that Pee-wee was a heel.
What a vicious bastard he was.
That's like the worst story I've ever heard in the history of wrestling.
It's a downer, in it?
Oh man. As a fat guy, that hits you right in the feels. You know, when you when you're thinking about this one thing and you got it fixated and here we go. And it's weeks in the planning. And then to find out you got screwed and then to realize, wait a minute, it wasn't even the restaurant. It was your own friend.
Yes. And no change. I'm telling you, it was a huge riff for a while. I mean, it was like a month before they spoke.
Really?
Because you can't get it anywhere else. There's nowhere else. Well, I'll get it when we get to the next town. Dobbs was an isolated, it's not a franchise. It's a mom and pop place. And Dothan was the only place you could get it. Pretty hot deal. I bet Pincher could tell you the story.
Holy shit,
if he remembers all the details.
It's still open now. Dobbs Famous Barbecue, 2636 South Oat Street, Dothan, Alabama.
Well, and it was right across the street. And another plus to it, we would do TV in Dothan on Saturday at noon, and then we would do a house show there that night. So you had a room, and you would stay there right across the street from Dobbs. Just walk over, and they'd make the barbecue any way we wanted it. Sauce, no sauce, the gimmick. They were kind of double up on the strawberry, shortcake, make it a little bit fatter than it should have been. It was just a sweet deal. We did look forward to it.
I got to tell you, I've never heard of it, but now next time I'm down there, I'm going to hit it. I just pulled up the online menu. Dobbs Famous Homemade Strawberry Shortcake, $3.59. And that's
Bingo.
Now. So you go back 20 years, 25 years, there was some change that you kept mentioning.
Oh, it had to be $1.50 a piece. So $4.50. Pee-wee screwed him out of $16.
And ate his shit.
And ate not only his, Pinzer's too.
It's like being married.
No, it's like being a Viet Cong. That's what it's like being.
My mom used to tell my dad, what's mine is mine, what's yours is mine, and what's ours we're going to talk about. So anytime I
hear,
yeah, it's a good line.
And true.
Yeah. Ben wants to know, I've always believed that your tag team with Bobby Eaton in the Dangerous Alliance was very underrated. What are your memories of teaming up with Bobby in WCW? Boy, we've talked about this recently with, I guess it was Eric, that timing is everything. If the timing of that tag team was a little sooner or a little later, it could have gone down as one of the most famous tag teams in history, but it feels like it was in almost like a forgotten era of WCW. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the whole Dangerous Alliance thing was like, it was there, but nobody realized it was there.
Right.
Everybody was kind of, would get together with an occasional promo, but there was never the company pushing that unit to be like their top group of guys. It just, I don't even know how to explain it. You could look around when we're all together and go, damn, man, some talented guys here. But I don't think any of us realized what careers were going to come out of that group and just how successful a lot of people were going to be. I mean, we were together, but we weren't together because that group of guys should have been able to attack anybody and just consume them, and that that type of push, I don't even think was ever even thought about or considered.
Fabian Too Sweet wants to know, hey, I was wondering what you thought of Bruiser Brody, his style of wrestling, and if you ever met or worked with him.
I never met Brody. Watched some of his stuff on tape. He was definitely Bruiser Brody. And he brought it. And from what I could tell, my view of it was, if you fought him back, it was like Ronnie Garvin, just a lot bigger and nastier looking. He brought it, and if you fought him back, he'd work with you and you could have a match. If you were tentative or the least bit looked like you might be not knowing what to do, he'd just eat you up. And he did that to a lot of people. He was in incredible shape. You couldn't blow him up. Never got tired. And he was one of those rare characters that a lot of guys get compared to him, but I've never heard anybody say this, which I think is a compliment. That guy's just like Bruiser Brody.
That's a hell of a compliment.
You never hear that because nobody was.
Ken Brzezinski wants to know, and this is a timely question given the Rumble a few weeks ago, was Carlito WWE Championship material?
For the big title?
Yes.
No.
Why do you think not?
Because he was a gimmick.
Okay.
Character. Entertaining character. And I don't think he would have had the dedication because he was a big kid and he was having fun. And that's great if you're one of the troops.
Right.
But if you make him champion, now he's got early morning radio, he's got media, he's got all these appearances, which is what a lot of people don't understand. And you have to represent the company and the business in a way that's people are going to look at him and go, damn, that guy is a star. I thought he was just a wrestler. He knows what he's talking about. He's articulate. He's intelligent. Looks good in a suit. He's always on time for those early morning, radio shows and all this. A lot goes into being a champion. I thought he was a great guy to have on the card. He looked good at the Rumble. Body looked really good. He hadn't aged at all. I think he'll probably land with some kind of spot with that company because he looked to me, and he can still work. So.
Different era, but a great question here from Vincent Greco. Why did Ronnie Garvin beat the hell out of the enhancement talent? Did any one of the established talent ever suggest to him, maybe it wasn't cool to crucify these guys? And I don't know, man, this just feels like it was a point in time in the business where it's just something you did. Vader did it. Yokozuna did it. The Steiner brothers did it. Kevin Sullivan did it on WCW. There were some guys though, who it feels like took liberties. What'd you think of that?
I never agreed with anybody hurting enhancement talent. Now, I gave the appearance that I was mauling some of those guys, but I never hurt anybody.
Right.
I never had anybody come through the curtain and complain. My deal was it looked like they were getting killed, not getting killed. But those guys were there for a purpose, and they knew that, and it was strictly in those days to enhance the guy they were working with. But you still can't go and hit a guy in the teeth or hit a guy in the nose, hit a guy in the nuts, drop him on his head. Not acceptable then, not acceptable now. But a lot of guys in those days did make an example of their TV time because that's how you made your money and that's how we drew money. The heels had to get heat on TV. And some, pushed it up another notch. I think those guys knew what was coming. Still, when guys got hurt, unacceptable.
One last one, then we'll wrap this one up. This one is actually about lifting weights, believe it or not. It says on the January 25th, 1986 promo, you said you squatted 600 pounds. Was that working weight or shoot weight? That comes to us from Corwin.
That was before I got in the business, and I was working out, in Rome, Georgia, and I tried powerlifting. I got up to 6 in the gym, wasn't a competition squat. Then I went to a contest somewhere in Georgia and figured out all those guys were way, way advanced from where I was at that point. I did like a 6 squat, like a 6 deadlift, and a 400 bench, which is not much when you get to competition level. 1,600, I think, was the total for the 3 lifts. And those guys were totaling like 2,045, something like that. Matter of fact, one of the guys walked over to me and he said, "Hey man, how you doing? Fine." He said, "You're clean, aren't you?" And I went, sniffed up under my, arm and went,
Sure. I hope so.
"Yeah, well, yeah. What do you mean?" He said, "No, man. I mean, you're not taking any steroids." I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you look at these guys lifted today, that's what you're going to be against, and you just can't compete unless you're on the gas. I'd suggest you get on the gas. Looks like you got, how long you been powerlifting?" And I told him, and he said, "Looks like you got some potential, but not going to make it unless you get on the gas."
Right.
And he was right. And so once I started wrestling, I figured out squatting heavy and deadlifting heavy is not good for your lower back and lumbars. And they started tightening up on me in the ring. It didn't work well with wrestling. So I cut that way, way, way down.
Well, let's put a bow on this week's episode. We're going to be back next week with something really special. We're going to talk about Elimination Chamber 2011. We're going to keep the hits going through the month of March. Listen to me. But Arn, before we get out of here, I know that you don't have to listen to the shows because we were here together when we recorded them. Have you heard that we have a new outro on the show?
The music.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Love it.
Shout out to Chris. He's on Twitter at Evil Robot Chris. And we're going to play it again here one last time. Not one last time. It's our new outro for the show. I just thought Chris did a home run job on that. You've revealed here before what a big fan of Led Zeppelin you are. And he spliced in a couple of your promos and had a nice little remix in there with your name. That was well done, wasn't it?
You're damn right. I love Led Zeppelin. And that was so smart and so clever the way you did that, mixing it in with the promos. I love it. Kudos. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ryan over from boxofgimmicks.com. Let's hook Evil Robot Chris up with some Arn swag. That's a badass song, and we're happy to have it. And we're happy to have you with us here today. We'll be back next week with Elimination Chamber 2011. Of course, the week after that, it's another Ask Arn Anything. And if you've got a question for either one of those shows, you can go ask them right now at the Arn Show. Until next time, I am at Hey, it's Conrad, and we are out of time. We'll see you next week right here on Arn.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.